Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited because I have something here. I like saw blades. I like lapidary saw blades. We've done a lot of digging into the subject here on the channel, and this is going to be no exception. So if you like nerding out about saw blades, stick around because I got something kind of new and interesting. I paid for this out of my own pocket. This is not sponsored content. And, I was poking around on the internet at 4 in the morning when I woke up way too early, and I saw a saw blade that piqued my interest. Look at this weird, I think it's fair to call it a weird saw blade. Okay, well, we got diamonds all on the sides, both sides, right? Check that out. And we're going to take this up to the microscope. And we're going to look at this in depth, but interesting. So this is a blade from Cutting Edge Supply. I think it's exclusive to them. Don't hold me to that. I haven't seen this anywhere else. I got it in a trim saw size, so 6-inch for my high-tech diamond saw. The way they say that you can use this is, well, you know what? Maybe we should mount it up and we'll go from there. Here's the blade mounted up on my high-tech diamond saw. And this is a very rigid, thick, curved blade that you could use to grind on. Okay, so I mean, obviously you can see the diamonds here. Kind of the idea is you want to cut out a cab. Maybe you cut it on this blade and then you can grind up to your lines, right? Get it up to the line that you want. If you were cutting in freehand and you maybe got some marks in a stone that has those like classic saw marks, you could get them out on this, or you could rough shape a cab, have a cab on a stick and come in here and do some of that, do a little bit of rough profiling. We do have a couple of things that we need to figure out first. And I think before talking about the cooling aspect of it, I want to look at this thing under the microscope and see what these diamonds look like, measure them, do all of those good things, see if this is a quality blade visually, and then we can come out and we can talk about the cooling of it and do some testing. I'm just getting the microscope ready. I've already marked out on the disc the direction that I'm going to be cutting with it, and these are the diamond spots that we'll be looking at under the microscope. Well, I'm going to look at it all, but these are going to be the ones that we're going to be taking photos of, along with the edge portion right there, and it should be good. We'll take some photos and we'll look at these guys. Here's the first image that I took, and you can see all of these green synthetic diamonds. All of the shiny stuff here in the circle is the matrix that it's embedded in, and it does cast a reflection. It just can't really do anything about it here. And this isn't an image stack. This is just a raw image off of the microscope. But it illustrates something here. I wanted to kind of point out a couple of things. First off, the abundance of the diamond, which is more reminiscent to how grinding wheels are made as opposed to saw blades. So that's just kind of my own observation. And then here we are moved in, and you can see there's a lot of diamond on this thing. A lot. Now we're looking at the edge, and once again, I would say that this is more like a grinding wheel and not so much a saw blade. I would reference back to some of the other videos that we've had. Now, lapidary saw blades, they are grinding wheels and not saw blades in the sense that you have a sharp edge with a saw blade and you peel material away. It's all grinding, but the way in which this is manufactured seems a little more reminiscent of a grinding blade as opposed to the traditional lapidary blades. A little zoomed in here on this, and we'll be able to find this exact same spot on the microscope and be able to look at this. Here's the before, and then we'll take this thing outside, and we're going to get to grinding with it. So we do have the problem of cooling the blade. Now, generally in a trim saw blade, you fill up your water level to the bottom of the blade because that's the only portion that has diamonds on it that you want to keep cool and really keep clean. The water comes around. If you've seen anybody use these, myself or anybody else for that matter, you'll see that water gets whipped around and drips on everything. I will say that the high-tech saw is a pretty clean saw, but we need to be able to keep this portion wet. I contacted the manufacturer and I was like, what do you do? Because I guarantee you, if I fill this thing all the way up to here with water, there's going to be a lot of water coming out of the saw. I've filled it up a little too much in the past, and more water comes out than I would prefer. It certainly makes a mess. And they suggested a garden sprayer. Well, I just so happen to have a garden sprayer, so I'm going to test it the way they said to use it. So we're going to take all this stuff outside, set it up in the backyard on a folding table, and see how much of a mess we can make. Forgive the traffic noise, but I have a Husqvarna garden sprayer hooked up. This one does have a trigger lock on it. I have some water already in here. I'm going to be set up and it's just spray on the side. We're going to do some cutting and grinding. We'll see how it goes. So here's what I did. I kind of ground up to the line on this banded rhyolite from Utah. This piece of calcite. I cut up a piece of picture jasper so I can take it up to the line later. And this is really hard stuff. The picture jasper, that's from China Hollow. And I started to rough shape a cab out, but I really didn't care for it. So yeah, I kind of stopped. But here's the blade in its current condition, and I will take this in, wash it with warm water and dish soap, and then we'll look at it under the microscope, and we can compare what it looked like fresh versus now and see what, if any, change we had, what the condition is of the matrix and the diamonds and all that good stuff. And then we'll come back to the shop and talk about, well, what it's like to use it. Yeah, so this is what we looked like on the side of it before doing anything. And here it is after, and there's really no difference. And I mean, there really shouldn't be any kind of difference with that minor amount of cutting and grinding. Zoomed in on the side, before, after. Really, I mean, this level of industrial or synthetic diamond, you're not going to see much change. And the same goes with the edge. Here we are before doing any cutting and after. This is just some stuff that I wasn't able to clean off. That's just from cutting. So not a big deal, but you can see we still have all of these diamonds. So let's talk about this. Overall, I wouldn't do it in my shop, okay? You know, I have the high-tech saw. It starts to fill up with water because you're continuously spraying, okay? It's kind of a thick kerf, which there's not anything wrong with a thick kerfed blade. Maybe if you're buying your material, like I just find all my material, so it's not a big deal for me to have some additional waste, but I could see maybe why you'd want a thinner kerfed blade, the kerf being the thickness, right? The thicker the blade, you're literally throwing material out. It did just fine, cutting and even on the grinding aspects, and very, very little wear. Granted, this isn't some kind of like long-term test of the blade. I do see a couple of very specific uses for it. Mostly if you wanted to create a perfect right angle, like if you were, let's say, doing some type of mosaic or something like that, and you wanted to have two rocks butt up against each other perfectly, this would be a great way because you have the table and you can push in and just get it a dead 90 degree. And I checked mine with a machinist square, and they are dead 90 degrees. So that's very cool. It's a little finicky with the whole garden sprayer and all of that stuff. It's more like it's more of a blade to have in addition to other blades. I think I would not recommend this as your primary. You're only buying one. If I could make any suggestions or changes, and that would be this. Okay, do you see all of these dots? They just line up. So I did end up grinding on the actual blade itself. You can see those lines in between it. That's not the best. Not the best. They could be like off center a little bit. So then basically as it spins, there's a continuous amount of diamond. That would be a slightly improved design. I don't know if I would recommend this, but for what it's worth, I think it's interesting. I like the idea. It probably wouldn't work super well for me. Like I said, I would have to be outside. It's cold here most of the time. I have other ways of grinding rock. But as far as producing a perfect 90 degree angle, this seems great for that. So yeah, I think we'll leave this one here. Maybe I'll do a follow-up on this in the future once I've been able to cut on it a lot more, and I will put it through the pace as much as I can. And yeah, if you look down below this video and you see a red subscribe button, that means you're not subscribed to the channel, and I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. It would mean a lot to me. We have lots of great content here, and I'll be continuing to make more great content just like this. Lapidary, rockhounding, geological, all that stuff. Check out the website, currentlyrockhounding.com, and I will catch you guys on the next video.